Yes, good morning for this class 11 of mechanical design. So in the previous class, we had stopped at one point in the problem. So this is the point where we stopped, where we were calculating the wear load on the tooth. So let me just recollect what we had done in the previous class. So in order to find out what will be the wear load, we had used this equation, okay, d1 bq let me highlight using some other color, yeah. So d1 bq into k, and we also saw the importance of d1. Why d1 is used? Because it is the driving gear, and the driving gear gives rise to the wear on the adjoining tooth. So according to this equation, we calculated what is Q, which is just a ratio of the given diameters. Then we had K, which is a
Excuse me, sir.
quantity. Hello.
Sir, sharing the screen.
Okay. It is showing screen has already been shared here. Hold on. I'll just reconnect it. Now is it fine?
Sir, I can't see it.
Okay. Other students, can you see the screen that I've shared?
Yes, sir, I can see the screen.
Okay. Let me do it again. Yeah. I'm already sharing the screen, students. So if there is any problem, you can just log out and log in again. If there is any problem, it might get solved. Yeah. So here, as I was saying, Q is the ratio of the diameters and K is a material property given by the surface endurance limit. And this is something that is inherent only to the surface of an object, okay, of a material. Inside E1 and E2, or the Young's modulus part, may be the same, but for the same material you can give a surface treatment so that surface endurance limit will change for different types of materials. So that is what we are trying to find out here. What we are exactly trying to do? See, wear load on this one tooth or all the tooths being of the same material, we are trying to find out what will be the wear load on the surface of the tooth, okay, given that you have a particular hardness number based on, see, 200 and 150, that whatever we have taken for pinion and gear, these two values were based on the sigma d values that were taken, or the material that was suggested. Now, without any surface treatment, heat treatment of the surface, you will have only 200 and 150 as a Brinell hardness number on the surface of the material. If you take the average, it comes to 175, which has to be substituted in this equation. This has to be substituted here. So surface endurance limit is 2.75 into the average BHN minus 70, which gives us 411.25 megapascals. Now we put this value of K here, and we came across K value to be 0.294, and we assumed, okay, we assume that E1 and E2 is 207 gigapascals. So it came out, the wear load came out to be just 882 newtons. Now just let us compare this. If I go one slide back, whatever we solved in the previous class, you see the dynamic load on the tooth gear, okay, FD, which was called as the dynamic load. The dynamic load on the tooth gear, that is, uh, by virtue of its rotation, the tooth will have more load. So tangential load in static condition plus some allowances, that the dynamic factor that we added by using interpolation, we got FD to be 8544.13 newtons. So that value also was written over here, 8544.13. FW is a wear load of 882. So one thing is very obvious. The dynamic load already on the gear that is acting is at the order of 8500, and the wear load is just 882. I can say 10% of it. Yes. So FW is definitely lesser than FD. Okay, from these two comparisons, and what we can understand is design is not safe from wear considerations. We have already solved this design for strength considerations using Lewis equation. That is done. If you take the tooth as a static member, it is definitely going to hold the load. But if you consider the dynamic nature of the tooth, it is not going to hold the load. Which kind of failure will occur here? It is not about static or fracture that is going to take place. It is the failure due to the wear load that is going to take place. So design is not safe from wear considerations. Now suppose say you want to recalculate this and okay, find out what should be the surface endurance limit for the for this particular tooth combination. Then what you have to do is you have to equate. Let me write it down. Yeah, you have to equate FW must be equal to D1B Q into K nu. See, there are some aspects which you cannot change. The tooth has already been set for certain diameter, already set for certain face width. These are the things that you cannot change. Then Q is again a function of D1 and D2, again cannot be changed. But you can change what is K. What is K? K is a factor which takes into account the surface endurance limit. As you already discussed, any material whatsoever, inherently inside you may not change, but on the surface you can subject it to heat treatment so that its surface endurance limit will change. Now we are going to find out what is that surface endurance limit. It's a kind of reverse calculation. So K nu must be equal to Fw by d1 b into q. I'll just rewrite this equation. Then what should be Fw? Fw, if we use 0.294, it's going to come 882. But what we want? We want to reach the level of Fd, right? This is lesser. We want to equate this. So substitute this to Fd. Use Fd value. So this comes out to be 8544.13 by d1 is 80. This is 25 and this is 1.5. So this is the value of the new value of the surface endurance limit that we need in order for the gaze to function properly. Okay. So how much this comes out to be? K is new, or the new value of K. I'll write it here. So if you recalculate this using the new value of Fw, that is Fd value itself.
2.84.
Correct. 2.848. Yes. 2.848 is the new value. Okay. So from here, if you want to, you can do a reverse calculations. For example, you know what is K. So left hand side you can put here what is 2. This is 2.848, and you can keep this value as it is, that is sigma ES square in this equation, and reverse calculate and get a new value of BHN for this. Okay. Anyway, we are not going to do in this particular problem. Some other problem we'll discuss that. But the conclusion is very important. Let us discuss that conclusion and write a proper conclusion. Yes, students, will continue here. And one more slide. So you can write something like this. The conclusion is, since FW is lesser than FD, the wear starts before the dynamic load FD is reached. Hence, it is subjected to heat treatment so that it can be surface hardened to a higher value of BHN, for which the value of K is 2.848. Okay. So the wear starts before the dynamic load is reached. So we have FW of around 800, FD is around 8000. So much before that, the wear will start. In order to avoid that wear and not change the material, keeping all other parameters same, all the dimensions same and the material same, the only thing you can do at this point is subject to a heat treatment, so that surface hardening can occur. Okay, you can surface harden it to a higher value of BHN. So BHN may go around 300, 350 and so on. We'll look into that value in some other problem. But as of now, since it is asking you to calculate the wear load and check, this is the only one. Till here you can finish it off, the problem. And if it is suggested that give a new value of BHN, then you have to go one step further. Okay, so otherwise you can stop till here. So higher value of BHN, for which the value of K is 2.848. The only thing that remains is now a reverse calculation, or there is one more table which will help us in order to directly find out what should be the nearest value for it. And also students, as far as materials are concerned, we know that all the materials cannot be given all the hardnesses. Okay, they too have some limitations. So it may be prudent even to change the material, but that is exactly a practical design that usually happens. Okay, while optimizing the design, you also tend to change the material, select a totally new material and then subject it to heat treatment so that the surface hardening can occur. But as of now, for these type of problems, you can stop till here. So what did we do? I'll just recap of what we have done in the previous class so that you'll be in a position to start off the next problem. So what happened here in this particular problem, I can say this particular problem is one where the number of teeth, okay, number of teeth not known, not specified. This is one type of problem we are solving due to time constraint. Okay, so number of teeth is not specified in this problem, and also we had a situation where the diameters also was not specified. So what happened with this kind of a problem? We chose the number of teeth based on the table. Okay, this was the table that we chose for 14.5 degree full depth. To avoid interference, what should be the number of teeth? We chose to be 32 teeth. So using that same number of teeth, and since we had the ratio with us, we calculated the total number of teeth for pinion and gear. And then we went on to select which is the weaker material. This is a standard procedure for all problems, that you have to uh, find out which is the weaker member and design for it, and the stronger member will be automatically taken care in the process because the module will remain the same. And then since D was not known, we had to isolate CV as the unknown. And in this equation of m cube CV, m, then you iterated for a certain values of module, then gave what is the D value, then calculated what is V, then V gave rise to what is CV, then finally m cube CV. And using the other property of Lewis equation, we equated which comes to the closest value, and we selected a module of 2.5. Coming to the dynamic load, we know it is different from the static load. So dynamic load will be definitely be higher by virtue of rotation of the gear. And to find out the dynamic factor in this equation, we had to interpolate certain values based on the error value that is allowable in the meshing of the gears. And then finally, today's class, we looked at what will be the wear load and what to do if wear load is quite less compared to the dynamic load that is allowed. So even before the dynamic load of 8500 is reached, you will start wearing the tooth at 800 newtons itself. In order to avoid the failure occurring due to such problems, we have to surface harden the particular material. And we have also suggested what is the new value of K, so that we can reverse calculate and find out what should be the particular BHL number. Okay. So right now we'll move on to the next problem, which you can just write the statement. Okay. This is a little bit different type where the number of teeth are specified, but something else is not specified. We'll look into that. Just take down the statement. Okay. So let us go through the definition of the problem. We have a spur gear combination. A spur gear transmit 20 kilowatts of power. So I'll directly write what is the data given. So P is 20 kilowatts of power at 1200 RPM of pinion. So the pinion RPM is N1 is 1200. Gear ratio is 3:1. So I is 3 Okay, or you can write 3 is to 1, fine. The pinion is to have 18 number of teeth. So this is directly specified now. So here number of teeth is known. Okay, so 18 number of teeth, Z1 is 18. Once it is given, we are not going to check whether interference is taken care or not. Okay, so once it is given, you can directly take it. The pressure angle is 20 degrees, so alpha is 20. The material of the pinion is C30 and gear is C45. We'll come to that when we discuss sigma D. Yeah. Okay. And the gears are subjected to medium shock with 8 to 10 hours per day of service. So what are the things not given? One thing I've noticed, the diameter is not given. Okay, only the number of teeth is given. So you have to design based on strength, and you'll have to stop there itself. Okay. Again, diameter is not given in this problem. In the previous problem, both were not given, and so we have to take the help of a table. Now, the number of teeth is given, but a diameter is not given. It will actually proceed the same way as the previous problem. Okay, so let us go to that particular table. So, table 12.7. Yeah, table 12.7, page 234. It says pinion material is C30. Of course, when it is C30, 45, it is all means steel itself. So what about C30 steel? Okay, there in C30 there is only one type given, so heat treated. Okay, we'll directly take that, not an issue. Sigma D1 is equal to 220.6 megapascals, and gear material is C45. It is given untreated 233. Okay, sigma D2 is 233.4 megapascals. Okay, so this is one thing that we can make out directly, sigma D values. Now what do we want? Now you want to compare, right? Which is the weaker member? Materials are different, so you need to compare, you need to find out. So Y equation, that is form factor. If I say for pinion, Y1 is, see, 0.154 minus 0.912 by Z1. Okay, this is according to the equation that we discussed for form factor, and this particular equation takes care of 20-degree involute. Okay, so this is 12.5D. Okay, be careful what you are choosing, because this is for 20-degree involute. For 20-degree, if I want to be more specific, I can say full depth. Since here full depth or stub depth is not mentioned, I'm free to choose it as full depth. Okay, by default you can take it as full depth. Only when stub teeth are mentioned, then you can go for stub system. So for 20-degree full depth, this is the equation: 0.154 minus 0.912 by Z1. So with this in mind, it will be what will be Z1 here? Z1 is 18. So some value over here of Y1. Similarly for Y2, 0.154 minus 0.912 by Z2. How do you get Z2? Okay, see here we have I is 3:1 ratio. We know that I is equal to 3:1 means it should be N1 by N2 should be equal to D2 by D1, and D2 by D1 also should be equal to Z2 by Z1. See this equation, that I is equal to N1 by N2 and D2 by D1 and Z2 by Z1 also will hold good for a few of the gears. For example, spur gear, helical gear, bevel gear. Okay, only such types of gears. There are some other gears where this equation will not hold true. We'll discuss that when we solve problems on such types of gears. So I is equal to N1 by N2 must be equal to D2 by D1 equal to Z2 by Z1. So for as long as spur and helical and bevel are concerned, you can directly take them, no issues. So with this in mind, you can calculate what is Z2. So I'll write this 3 is equal to Z2 by 18. Okay, I'm equating this and this now. So Z2 must be 3 times 54. So put that over here, 0.154, 0.912 by 54. So y1 should be around 0.103 and this should be, y2 should be around 0.137. Now it is time to compare those two values. What should be sigma d1 and sigma d1 y1, sigma d2 y2. So compare. Okay. If there is any error or questions, you can ask, no problem in the solving. So find out what is sigma d1 y1, the product, and find out what is sigma d2 y2, and let us know which is the weaker member. Yeah, how much did you get? Sigma d1 y1?
So 22.72.
Yes, good. 22.72 and this should be around
31.9.
yes, correct. 31.98. Okay. Now this is very clear that which is the weaker member. The pinion comes to be lesser when compared to the gear. So you can write your conclusion. The next slide I'll take. Since sigma d1 y1 lesser than sigma d2 y2, okay, pinion is weaker member. So design for strength is based on pinion. So whatever calculations we do from now on, let us take the pinion into account. Okay, so its design for strength is based on pinion, and as the problem definition tells us that design the gears based on strength, so that means you have to stop at Lewis equation. You need not go further to do any calculations. So pinion is a weaker member here, as we just proved. Now let us take that same equation that we use for module, the modified type, m is equal to 2mt by sigma d cv k capital Y z. So this is with respect 1 by 3 and here it is 12.5b if you recollect. Okay, now what are the things we know, which one to choose? We know that module is still unknown, that is what we are trying to find out now, and since diameter is not known, even CV will be unknown, correct? So let us cube on both the sides and write it appropriately. So m cube CV must be equal to 2mt by sigma d. In this case we are designing for the first one, so I'll directly put it as 1. Okay, then k and then y, which is y1, and this is z1. Okay, let us find out the individual components on the right hand side now. So what is mt? Let calculate here. MT is 9.55, so 10 raised to 6 P CS by N. Okay, N is in RPM over here. What is the value of CS? We have a situation of medium shocks, 8 to 10 hours per day. Very similar to the previous problem. Same was there in the previous problem. So according to that table, table 12.8, right? Table 12.8, page 235, CS should be 1.5. Okay. So this MT value will be power 6, 20 kilowatt is the power, 1.5 by N is 1200. We are talking about N1 here. Okay, MT. So the top transmitted will be 238750. Just check the values. Newton mm. Okay, so that was about MT, that is the torque transmitted. We'll assume K will be equal to B by M as usual as 10. Okay, in the previous problem also we took it as 10. For most of the problems you can take it as 10 for spur gear. When it comes to helical gear, it will be a different value. Okay, so we'll take it as 10 for most of the problems. Yeah. We have already calculated what is y1, so we can directly put it here. See, capital Y1 is equal to pi into small y1. So we'll directly put it in the equation there. So I'll substitute now 2 into 238750 by sigma d1, which is 220.6, K is 10, this is pi into y, y is how much, 0.103, yeah, into 18. Okay, so what should be m cube CV value? Can you please calculate and tell me? Yes, yes. Around 37. Okay, I'm getting around 37.1. Fine, very close values. So 37.1. So this is the required one. This is the required one. The required m cube CV value is 37.1. Anything above this is sufficient for us. So now, as in the previous problem, we'll start to iterate. Okay, I'll put the table over here. So the first m value we will choose. Then d1 is m into z1. Then we have v, which is equal to in fact v1. Okay, pi d1 n1 by 60 60,000, yeah, because we are trying in meters per second. This is in mm, this is also in mm, but here we are converting to meters per second, so that CV value will be chosen based on how many meters per second, and then finally m cube CV. The same table will put here. Okay, now where to start with? Of course, you can start with 1, you can start with 2, but mathematically speaking, you can notice something here. See, m cube CV, this is always going to get cube with CV. one problem we have solved, and you know that CV value will always come less than 1, 0.5, 0.6, 0.4 and so on. So something getting multiplied with this value with cube. So you should be able to have an idea from where you can start solving this. For example, if you use 3 here for module, 3 cube is 27. 27 into something of lesser than 1 will definitely make it to come lesser than 1, correct? Lesser than this value of 37.1. Okay, so 3 you can straight away neglect, okay, because anyway 27 into some a value lesser than 1 will give me a total value of less than 37. So let us start with 4, because 4 cube is 64. 64 into something may give me 37, may help me to reach 37. So this kind of trial and error method you'll get an idea once you practice the problems correctly, okay. So even in the examination, that practice will help you to choose a right value and not waste time on unnecessary iterations. So let us say I'll start with 4, okay, 4 mm. Let it be my starting point. I'm not sure how much I'll get, but yeah, let us try. 4. What will be m into z? So d1 is m into z. Here z1 is 18. Okay, and here in this equation n1 is 1200. So z1 is 18. So 18 into 4, d1 should be 72 mm. With this as 72, then what should be v1? 4.52. Okay, just calculate this. Then what is the value of CV? According to the tables given, the CV value, that is the series of equations in 12. I'll write it here, 12.6. You have to go through all the series and choose which is the one. Hello, please mute your microphones unless you want to ask some question. So here yeah, so here CV value comes in the series of 12.6 equations. So 4.52 we can straight away choose 12.6a, which is nothing but, I'll just write it here, 3.05 by 3.05 plus v. So this is for up to 8 meters per second. So use this equation. Okay, this is 12.6a. So if you use this 4.52 meters per second, so CV value should be 0.403. Then calculate m cube CV.
25.77.
Yes, correct, 25.7. So anyway, even though we chose a higher number, it is still not going to come there. So obviously 3, 2, 2.5, nothing will match over here. So it is best that we don't even go to iterate that. Okay. Okay. The next number is in the series is, do we have 4.5? I don't think so.
Sir, it's in second choice.
Then the first choice should be 5, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So we'll go with 5 then. Better for us. We'll go with 5. We are not taking 4.5 because it is of second choice. So we want to avoid that as much as possible. So 5, then 18 into 5 is 90. 90 mm is the diameter. Velocity, if you calculate, it should come to around 5.65. And still in this equation 12.6a, because it is less than 8 meters per second, so should have 0.350. Let us check this, because 5 cube is already 125, so this might hold good. Yeah,
Sir, 43.79.
correct, 43.7. So now it has just crossed, so you can say that this value over here is comparable to this, or I can say m cube CV, which should be adopted, must be greater than m cube CV, which is required, greater than or equal to, but in this case it is already greater. Fine. So therefore m is 5 mm. So the module that we selected is 5 mm. Okay. So let me write a few sentences and then recalculate the other parameters associated with both of those gears. So therefore design is safe from strength point of view. Design is safe from strength point of view, and you have module as 5. So face width of the gear B is equal to K into M, which we selected as 10, and into 5 should be equal to 50 mm. What about D1? 90. So diameter was not given, so we can calculate now. And D2 will be 3 times D1 according to the ratio of speeds. So it should be around 270 mm. And there is one more property that will help us in the future problems, is called center distance. Center distance, it is designated by letter C, which is d1 plus d2 by 2 equal to 90 plus 270 by 2, which is around 180 mm. What does center distance means? So you have a pinion, you have a gear joining, okay. So from here to here, it is called as a center distance. So it is d1 plus d2 by 2. Okay, it's actually the average of the pitch circle diameters. So this completes the design for this particular problem. So what we did, since the starting point was 18 number of teeth, we directly took it. Again, in this problem, teeth specified. This problem we have the teeth specified, diameter not known. Okay, the teeth is specified 18, diameter is not known in this. So we selected a diameter, okay, after finding the weaker member. Okay, I think all of the steps are the same as we followed for the previous problem. That is the first problem itself. So in the first problem in the previous class, I would like to mention that the recording that I posted yesterday night, it is giving me two files. Okay, so I have posted the two files, one after the other. One is of around 30 minutes and the remaining is for 1 hour. So I think by some problem it has recorded wherever we have left from that particular point. So anyway, go through both those files. Okay. So we'll go to problem 3 now. Again, a different type. Yeah. So this problem, a spur gear transmits 12 kilowatts of power. So 12 kilowatts of power at 1500 rpm of pinion, N1 is 1500 rpm. Gear ratio is 4 is to 1, so 4 is to 1. Center distance is 200. Okay, and both the gears are made of heat treated cast steel with a BHN value of 200. So here you see both the gears are made of, that means both the pinion and the gear both are made of the same material, and they are of a heat treated cast steel with a BHN value of 200. So what we can say, sigma d1 is equal to sigma d2, because both are made up of heat treated cast steel with a BHN value of 200. So sigma d1 and sigma d2 both are equal. Heat treated cast steel, if you go to table, let us write the value here itself now. If you go to the table 12.7, then okay, any value is available there. There is only one type of heat treated cast steel there for us, and that is 0.2% carbon. Okay, so that value comes out to be 193.2 megapascals. So which one we have chosen? Heat treated cast steel, 0.2% carbon. Only one type is there. Okay, so we will use that property, 193.2 megapascal. Sigma d1 and sigma d2 both are same according to table 12.7. Okay. So with this value in mind, this is a special case where both are made of same material, then finding out which is the weaker one becomes a little bit easier. Okay, anyway, BHN value for both, so I can say BHN1 equal to BHN2 equal to 200. The gears are subjected to light shock with 8 to 10 hours per day of service. So the CS value, see, this is a light shock, 8 to 10 hours per day of service. According to table 12.8, CS value should be how much? Comes to around 1.25 according to that table. Light shock, 8 to 10 hours per day of service. Okay, so till now we have taken medium shock. Now light shock, it's slightly lesser, 1.25. Please remember these tables. Okay, 12.7 and 12.8, very important for your initial values. Okay, next, phase width can be taken as 10 times the module. So what does this mean? What exactly is he talking about? He is saying phase width B can be taken as 10 times the module. That means, that implies that K is 10 here. Remember, we used to write K is equal to B by M. Okay, so this is one more way of putting the same thing. Phase width can be taken as 10 times the module. Okay. What about pressure angle? 20 degrees. So I'll write it here. Alpha is 20 degrees. Design the gears based on Lewis equation. So this is a very pretty simple thing. Gears based on Lewis equation means he is actually asking you design it based on strength. Okay. So now what do we have here? Do we have number of teeth here? See, the number of teeth is not mentioned. Z is not known. Okay. So this is a peculiar problem where you have center distance is known. Okay. Center distance is known, Okay, teeth not known. You don't know how many number of teeth are there. When you say center distance is known, what exactly we are trying to tell here? What is center distance? C is 200. C is equal to d1 plus d2 by 2, just as we solved for the previous problem. Okay, so obviously what is known is center distance is known means diameter is known. See, till now the two problems we solved, teeth were known, diameter was not known, but this is an exactly reverse case where diameter is known but the number of teeth is not known. But does it mean we can directly go to the table and select a number of teeth? It need not be true, because it has to match for all those other parameters of speed, center distance, and the kilowatts of power it is transmitting. So it is not that easy. So now the diameter can be found out from the center distance. How? See, we have the ratio with us. I is equal to 4. So we know that I is equal to n1 by n2 equal to d2 by d1 and also equal to z2 by z1. Okay, we can write d2 is equal to I into d1. In this case it is 4 times d1. So substitute it here. You have 200. Okay, I'll write it over here. We have 200 equal to d1 plus 4 times d1 by 2. Correct? Then isolate what is d1. So solving, we have d1 is how much? Can you tell me the value?
80.
Yeah, correct. d1 is 80 mm and consequently d2, which is 4 times of that,
320.
320. Yes, d1 is 80, d2 is 320. So we immediately came to a value. Now since we know d, there is no confusion in find out what is velocity, what is velocity factor and so on. So all those things will be directly known to us or fixed value to us. Okay, now to start with for anything, see, we have to find out the weaker member. To find out weaker member, you require to know what is sigma d1 y1 and sigma d2 y2. And especially in this particular problem, this case, both the gears are made of same material. So you can say weaker member comparison is now between y1 and y2. Which is weaker now? Why? Because sigma d1 and sigma d2 both are same. So it is both getting multiplied with the same number. So you only have to compare is which is higher or lower. Is it y1 or y2? Now remember, we are talking about y as a form factor and that too for 20-degree full depth. So y1 is 0.124, sorry, 0.154. 124 is for 14.5 degree. Yeah, 0.912 by z. Okay, for opinion it is z1. We do not know what is z1. We do not know what is z2. Then how do you calculate y1 and y2 in the first instance itself? Unless this is done, we cannot proceed. We do not know what to design for. So the alternate method for this is temporarily assume. Temporarily assume z1 is equal to 20. Of course, you can take any value, but take some sensible value, not just 5, 6, because we are dealing with number of teeth here. You cannot have a very nice gear with only 5 teeth or 4 teeth. Okay, so take some sufficient value, 20, 30, 40, no problem. So z1 is equal to 20 teeth. We are assuming only for the sake of temporary calculation. Then z2 will be 4 times z1 according to the ratio. So this will be 80 teeth. Okay, you might have a question, can we take 30? Yes, of course, no problem. 30 teeth you take, then this should be 30 into 4, 120 teeth. Fine. Now temporarily assume, then go to y1 and 0.154 minus 0.912 by z1. So calculate that with the 20 here. It should give you 0.1084, and similarly for y2, that is 0.154 minus 0.912 by z2, which is 80, should give you 0.1426. Okay, either you can see, you can directly write like this: sigma d1 will be lesser than sigma d2 y2, because sigma d1 and sigma d2 are both of the same value, so obviously their product will be lesser. Okay, so the opinion is weaker. So design is design for strength. Okay, design for strength is based on pinion. Okay, I think things are clear till now. But remember students, Z1 equal to 20 you have taken only temporarily, only to find out the weaker member. You cannot use Z1 anymore in the calculations, because that will still remain unknown until you finish your iterations. Until you finish your iterations, Z1 will still be, that is number of teeth on both the pinion and the gear will be still unknown. So this 20 teeth, simply because we have taken here, doesn't mean that we have rightly taken it. It may be 20, it may be lesser than 20, it may be more than 20. We'll just have to find out later. Okay. So temporarily assume that Z1 is 20 and accordingly adjust what is Z2, find out which is the weaker member. So this temporarily assumption is only to find the weaker member. Okay, not to use the same value and continue in the problem. Next, we will use the module equation. Now we want the module and we know the D value, but we do not know what is Z value still. We will use one more form of the Lewis equation, same equation number but one more form. If M is equal to Ft by sigma D Cv K and capital Y, root of it. Same equation number 12.5b on page 204. Okay, what are the things you already know? Okay, you can do one more thing here. You can square on both the sides. You can write m square is equal to Ft by sigma D Cv K Y. Okay, now what are the things you already know? Now this difference will appear now. What kind of a difference you require here? See, Ft is nothing but the tangential tooth load. Okay, but anyway, to find Ft we require V also here. So let us find out V, that is the linear velocity. V we know to be pi dn by okay, n1, let me write capital N here, by 60,000. And since we are designing with respect to pinion, I'll write d1 n1. So pi into d1 is 80, this is 1500 by 60,000. So it should give you around 6.28 meters per second. Okay, V value should be 6.28. And this V value, one set will not change. It is not unlike the previous problem where diameter keeps on changing and you have to recalculate V every time, because diameter is already set. So there is one set of diameter that you have to work with. So velocity is equal to 6.28 meters per second. Fine. Okay. What about the tangential tooth load, Ft? Ft is equal to 1000 PCS by V according to equation 12.7a. 12.7a, yes, in kilowatts if you want to substitute, page 205. So what is the CS? We already found out. So 1000 P is in kilowatts, 12 kilowatts of power is getting transmitted. 1.25 is the CS value which we initially found out, and this is 6.28 meters per second. So this brings us to about 2388.5 88.54 newtons. Okay, 2388.5 newtons. So we have found out Ft. We have can we find out what is CV? Yeah, CV we can find out. Okay, V is since V is known, CV we can find out. Okay, CV is 3.05 by 3.05 plus V, because this is less than 8 meters per second. You can use the 12.6 series of equations and find out this to be 0.327. So sigma d value you know, CV you found out, K is already given, Y is the only unknown. Okay, I'll write in this way, Ft by sigma d CV K pi. I'll put that because capital Y is equal to pi into small y, I'll put it here, m square y. Now you might get confused, why we are coming here, why separately it is pushed up here. Remember, y is a form factor, and this form factor is dependent on, y is dependent on z, which is still unknown. Y is dependent on z, which is still unknown. This z we are calculated only to temporarily find out which is the weaker member. Okay, so m square y is required now. So what is the major change now in this problem? Since d is known and z is unknown, m square y will be the deciding factor, not m cube CV. Okay, m square y will be the deciding factor. Now must be equal to how much? This is 2388.54. Sigma d is 193.2 we have taken. CV value is 0.327. K value is 10, and this is pi constant. So how much it will come out to be? M square y, which is required,
1.2.
1.2 is it? Okay, fine. I don't have the value here. Anyway, 1.2. Fine. 193.2 I have used. Yes. So m square y required is 1.2. Now the iteration will be between m and y. In earlier cases, we did the iteration between m and CV. Okay, or changing the diameter itself. Now the diameter is set. Okay, so now we can go for those iterations. Okay, so let us start m again in mm, then you require z, which is equal to d1 by m. Okay, z1 is equal to d1 by m. This is the number of teeth. Once the number of teeth is done, then you can use what is y. Y1 is 0.154 minus 0.912 by z1. Next, it is m square y, or I should say m square y1, and that is the deciding factor what this product will come out to be. So looking at the outset, what you can say, how much should come? So it is 1. Since m square y should come out to be around 1.2. Okay, y will anyway be in the order of 0.1, 0.2. So okay, let us take a very small number, say 3. Okay, if I use 3 or even 2, okay, if I use 3 mm as module, what will happen? Then d1, which is said to be, of course it is not coming to a whole number, how much where it is, d1 is 80, fine. So d1 is 80 over here. So I think you're going to get a little bit messed up here, because 80 by 3 is not a whole number. We'll make it to be a whole number later. Okay, how much it is? 80 by 3, 80 by 3 is
26.66. So 27 can be taken.
Yeah, so 26.66. Since z1 is a whole number of teeth, so let us take 27. If 27 is taken, we will see how much it comes. How much is y1?
So 0.12.
0.12. Does it satisfy? 3 square is 9. 9 into 0.12 is?
So 1.08.
1.08. Yes, still not sufficient. 3 is not sufficient. Yes, so this is not sufficient. We'll go with 4 then. 4 means it's a whole number. Yes, so this is going to be 20.
0.108.
0.108. Yes, and this should be around
1.73.
7. Yes, 7 to 8. So this is going to satisfy that. So here m square y adopted should be greater than m square y which is required. Okay. So therefore design is safe. From strength point of view. Therefore z1 is 20 teeth and z2 is 4 times z1, which is 80 teeth. And the face width is 10 times m, which is 10 into 4, 40. Yeah. So what are the changes we did in this problem? Instead of going for m cube cv, we understood that cv is something that has to be set, because d1 is known. We need not reiterate cv again. Okay, velocity factor, which is dependent on velocity, which in turn is dependent on the diameter of the gear itself. So that is already said, we need not change it again and again. It's only that the number of teeth were unknown, and for that we did a small calculation. We temporarily assumed that z1 is 20. So some students do this confusion that since it is assume 20, they directly go ahead with 20 later on. Once you set it at 20, there is nothing to prove over here. I mean, there is nothing to iterate. So that is why don't make that mistake. In this problem, it has so coincidentally happened that whatever you assume 20, the same output has come here, saying that okay, 20 also satisfies our given condition. It need not be true in all the cases. Okay, so we used one more form of the equation Of course, you can go ahead with the other form also, but anyway, this is a very simpler form because CV is already taken care. We need not go for the complicated cubic equation. So, velocity we found out appropriately, and the tangential tooth load on taking into account the service factor of the given problem. Then m square y, whatever is required, then we calculated what is the final value. Okay, here in some cases you might get a decimal value. You have to round it off to the nearest whole number. Okay, because this you are dealing with the number of teeth. Okay, what's the time? Yeah, so you can go for one more problem. You can just take down the statement. Okay, so we'll just take down whatever is given. Two parallel shafts connected by spur gauge, 20-degree full depth. So alpha is 20-degree full depth involute profile. The material for pinion is cast steel. So we are talking about sigma D1 here. Sigma D1 is okay, cast steel, untreated. So sigma D1 equal to 138.3 megapascals. You can check them out in table 12.7. Okay, and sigma D2 metal for gear is cast iron grade 35 heat treated. So sigma D2 value will be grade 35 78.5. Okay. So these things you can directly find out. Required to transmit 15 kilowatts of power at 900 rpm of pinion. So power is 15 kilowatts. N1 is 900 rpm. Diameter of pinion used to be 105. So this is set. D1 is 105 mm is set. Velocity ratio is 7/3:1. So I is 7/3. The gears are subjected to steady loads with 8 hours per day of service. So service factor here you have to calculate. Steady loads 8 hours per day. So CS factor according to table 12.8. 8 to 10 hours it is the same. It's actually very simple, no change at all, 1. The service factor to be taken is 1. Take face width as 10 times the module. So B is 10 times the module. Design the gears using the Lewis equation. Okay, very similar problem. You have to be careful about some values though, especially this ratio 7/3, which you have to adjust it to be a proper one, because Z1 has to be a whole number every time. So that is why you have to adjust it properly. Okay, you can try out this problem on your own. In the meantime, I will continue the problem in the next class. Okay, so it's already time. If you start solving now, it will take quite some time now. So I'll stop at this point. We also have one more class, right? So wherever you are, be safe. Okay, again, and don't take chances with your health and with your life. Okay, so thanks for joining, students. Thank you. So next class, I'm not sure whether we'll be having a class on Friday, because it's a holiday for Mahe. I'll check out with the department. If there is no class, then we'll meet again on the following Tuesday. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.